mic test. Well, ladies and gentlemen, happy Saturday to you all. Hopefully you're having a fantastic weekend so far. Tonight, we're in for some pre-season racing, and tonight is very important. It's not just some ordinary pre-season race. It's absolutely vital for the drivers to drive their best this evening, as some performances, good or negative, will be deciding the rest of the tiers for the beginning season next week. So it's absolutely vital that the drivers do their best. We've put it on clear weather for them, and it's going to be a short quali of 18 minutes, 50% race, which is 22 laps of Spa, and it's a chance for the drivers to show the league, the admin side, that they are fit and ready to drive in the Formula 1 top tier league. Or if they're not quite ready yet, then and they'll have to go down one into F2. And it's also a chance in the other league, in the other streams, for the F2 drivers to see they have got the pace to cope with the F1 league or even compete in the F2 league. So it's a very important night tonight for every single driver. We've got 18 here this evening, which is it's okay. It's not a bad turnout at all. When Montana crosses the line in his McLaren, we will take you on a lap of Belgium. The first lap we'll take you through will be to illustrate the turns to you, and we will stay on their in-lap afterwards and go through a little bit of detail on what they call their turns. So we'll have a little bit of an interesting go at qualifying, and we'll have some fun. So this is the start-finish line, where they will begin their rise, or mini rise, to turn number 1, which is about 150 degrees. It's very hard to get it right. They come past the old pit lane that we use in Gran Turismo, if any of you use that, and up to the hill they go. So this covers turns 2 here, 3 on this curb, and 4 past this curb, and they come down now to the first of, well, actually the second DRS zone, if you counted the one past the finish line. This is down to turn number 5 with a 90 degree right, a 90 degree left for turn 6, and another 90 degree right turn for turn number 7. They go down to the tricky 180 degree right hand turn here at turn 8. Very easy to lock up, very easy to go too far wide. Down to turn 9 we go, another 90 degree ish turn, and down under the symbol of F1 2019, and this is turn number 10. And that is very easy to do on the curb. I'm sure the McLaren will be okay, but we've got to be very, very careful of that, because that's going to happen many times this evening. We'll carry on with Montana to outline the lap as he lets the cars through. So this is turn 11 that he's going past. Is he going to get back on track and help us out? He will. Little spin there. So this is turn number 12, and then there's an immediate left turn. People have to be very careful on these curbs. They're quite deadly at Belgium. This is turn 14, another 90 degree. This is turn number 15, which the car should be able to do flat out quite easily. And then we start, it's not actually a straight, but it's flat out definitely. This little left turn is a 16. This little left turn here is a 17. And we come up to the chicane, which is 18 and 19. The bush stop chicane is what they call it for some reason. And he comes into the pits. We'll try and catch on to another car to see if we can go through some of the pronunciation of some of these corners. So bear with. Right, so as we go past the line, as you know all the turns, we're going to go through the names. So this is La Source, this turn here. I've no idea the meanings of the names, but I have them written down. So this is going up the hill is called Eau Rouge, and the reason why it's called Eau Rouge is because it has a little river going right underneath it. Going up the hill is Radion, and this is the Kemmel Straight. This is a bit of knowledge for you all. I will check the chat, by the way, so please put some comments and stuff in. But we'll just go through a little bit of history at Spa before we crack on with the times. So this is Lecom, or Les Comes, I think it's Lecom. There was a video on the F1's YouTube. Down to the 180 degree zone, which is called Bruxelles, which means Brussels in Belgium, I think. The left hand turn down to 12. This one under the bridge is called Pouhon, or Pouhon, or something like that, which is interesting. I wish I knew the meanings of the names, but I don't, ladies and gentlemen. We'll put dynamic on for a bit. This is Campus, this right left. This right turn is called Stavelot, here. And then the next turn is called Paul Frere, or Kirby, not really sure. This is Blanquimont as he goes past under the bridge of the Fanatec sponsor, and then the bus stop chicane. So that's pretty simple. Let's see if anyone's responded in the chat before we have a look at what the times are coming in. No panic on our side, ladies and gentlemen. All the panic this evening is on the racers side. Just to let you all know, the F2 and F3 streams are now live. If you want to watch them, they're on the YouTube channel. So the F1, the F2 and the F3 are all live as it stands. Right, let's check in with what's been happening. So the Mercedes of Alpu, let's call him, is putting a 42.731, and the Mercedes' teammate Thomas has gone a 42.822. Midnight's 14 milliseconds behind, 42.836. Vaporion, let's call him Vapor, in the Alfa Romeo is a 43.067 at the moment, 3 tenths behind the leader. Juice is 5th, Zakat is 6th, Lion 7th, Dylan's 8th, Luke is 9th, Fruitful Cute is 10th, their teammates at the moment. 8 tenths off pole for a moment. If we put the interval gap on for you, sorry, the leader gap, you can see the gaps are quite close. At the moment, from 1st to 11th place is only 8 tenths of a second, which is what we want to see. Of course, we'll check on those gaps in a minute. Let's find out if some people are on some laps. I'm not sure Aero is, but he might be. I don't think so. Is Raikkonen on a lap? I think he is. So we'll stay on board. We'll see what the second sector is. I expect quite a few. Okay, so did ZOS, so I'm guessing that was invalidated. Josh is on a lap, I believe, so we'll have a look at your 29.652 first sector in the Alfa Romeo. His teammate's in 4th at the minute, which is not bad, so we'll see what pace Josh has to offer. I believe this is a fast lap for him, so we'll keep on board for a minute. We've got 10 minutes to go before qualifying is over. Can I have some predictions in the chat? That would be lovely. Of course, I commentate on the footage, but we love a bit of input from you guys who are spending your time to join me in watching these, well, potentially the fastest races the league has to offer for this season. Anyway, let's see what he puts through in the second sector time, which is coming up very soon. 1:14.811. I don't know if that's any good or not, to be honest. I haven't done Belgium as a commentator before, so this is new to me. I've been told we've got a different level of practice between the drivers. I've been told that some drivers have done 10 laps of practice, some drivers have done a few races, so we'll see. Josh comes across the line, struggling with traction, but he gets a 42.922, which puts him 1 tenth ahead of his teammate, just under 2 tenths off pole. Not a bad lap time from the Alfa Romeo driver. Juice is on a lap, he's 1 tenth up at the moment, but he's at the beginning. We'll see if we can find someone a little bit later. Luke is, I believe, starting his fast lap, and we'll see what he can do first sector. He might help get a bit of slipstream off Josh as well. We'll see if he's more than a tenth up. He is just under a tenth up at the moment. So we'll probably go back to Juice for a little bit. We'll see what the second sector time is. Vapor's retired from a session. He's either crashed or he's happy with his time. It's good to see the different types of driving lines that drivers do. Of course, all these drivers have had a go in time trials. They'll probably have done some races, competitive races before. Lawmans has retired with a 44 dead. That's not a fantastic time for Mr. Lawmans, and that might have been a crash. Hulkenberg's also retired from a session as well. Oh dear, that's an awful crash there. Out of turn 14, I think. I can't see it, but those two cars have definitely crashed properly. That's not them retiring. Let's go back to Juice. He goes 4th fastest, just over 2 tenths up on his time. He splits the Midnight and Josh in the Alfa Romeo. Lion is half a tenth up on his time. Luke is 3.5 tenths up on his time. So will remain. He goes across the line and goes 5th fastest with a 42.874. 17 milliseconds behind Juice in 4th. Lion was half a tenth up. He's now about just over 2 tenths up, which means his time, he could get 6th fastest if he does well in the bush stop chicane, which we'll keep an eye on as he comes through now. The braking seemed okay. The driving line looks okay. We'll see what time he puts in. He's looking at about a 42.9. He does do a 42.9, just under 2 tenths quicker, moves him from 9th to 7th fastest. Is Midnight on a lap? No. Is Thomas on a lap? Thomas might be on a lap. Let's see if he can do better than a 42.822 at the moment. That puts him 2nd place at 900 behind pole. He's going to use his teammate for a bit of slipstream, I think, and that is good to see, helping each other out. And Alpu was on a, I think he was using his thing to get as much slipstream as possible before he had to break away from the Camel Straight turn. Luke is coming into the pits, Lion is coming into the pits, so we might as well just stick with Thomas. Even after the slipstream, he's only 200ths up on his time, so that time must have been quite quick for him. Midnight knows that if Thomas doesn't improve, he's only 14 milliseconds behind, and I'm sure he will have a good opportunity at catching that. I've been also told that the strategy for this evening is a soft to medium strategy. Belgium isn't too bad on the tyres. There's quite a few low speed corners, of course, which don't really kill them. There's not many tyre killing corners, let's say. Thomas comes across the line. Does he improve from a 42.822? He needs to cut off 900ths to beat his teammate to provisional pole. He absolutely does. Over 2 tenths quicker than his previous time, and Thomas goes provisional pole with a 42.593, which is just over a tenth quicker than his teammates. And I'm sure there'll be time for Alpu to get into the pits, get back out, and see if he can beat it. Zakar now takes a provisional pole with a 42.543, which is half a tenth exactly quicker than Thomas. A very good lap for the Renault driver indeed. The Renault driver's teammate, Mr. Raikkonen, is sat in the pits at the moment. He's yet to put a lap in, so we'll see what pace Raikkonen has got at the end of the session. Montana's not on the lap. Is Aero on a lap? That's the question. I don't know. So we'll see what he puts in for the second sector in his Red Bull racing car. These curbs are gonna ruin someone today, I reckon, ladies and gentlemen. Lost 4 tenths in the last corner. Oh dear. That bush stop chicane showing you who's boss then. He comes through second sector with a 15 dead. It's just under 8 tenths quicker than his time, which would put him 43.3 as it stands. He put in 12th. But I'm sure the Red Bull driver wants more than that. We'll stay on board as he goes flat out through that corner, down towards the bus stop chicane. We'll see what he does when he crosses the line, if he can get the braking and the, well, the most important part of the corner, the actual turns. He comes across the line in his Red Bull with a 43.3, 8 temps up like we predicted, 12th fastest he goes. He's missed out on 11th place by 4 milliseconds, 4,000ths of a second for you mathematics. At the moment, I don't think anyone is on a fast lap. The Mercedes driver of Alpine will be setting up for one. There's 2.5 minutes to go of the qualifying session, and this qualifying session is quite important, ladies and gentlemen, because the times are being recorded to see outright pace. What happens in the race is being noted to see who obviously deserves the spot in F1. So this is a really important race. Obviously not as important as a real race, you know, because you're challenging for points and you're challenging for this and that. But this is pretty important. It's like a simulator assessment of Formula 1. And Belgium is not, I mean, you get past the hill, it's not a bad circuit. If you stay off the curves, you'll be fine. Especially for these quality drivers. That's a good view of the podium where the drivers will be a little bit later on. Right, fast lap. Let's check Lewis. I think he'll be one of the first ones to cross the line on a fast lap. And Lewis is currently 14th at the moment with a 44 dead, and I'm sure Lewis knows that that can be definitely improved on. He's 2 temps up only first sector, but it is for shortest sector. Excuse me, so there may be a chance. Zakat retires from the session, he's happy with his time. If no one beats his time, he's getting pole position. So we'll see what happens there. We'll just keep on board with the Red Bull Taurus on. Let's see how he's driving through these curves, because there's 2 left-handers now that can really unsettle the car quite easily. And we have to get it right. He does relatively well, he makes sure to stay off the curbs. And we're looking for a sector time of a 14, I think, a 1 minute 14 for the sector 2. And he gets a 1 minute 14.8. He's currently just under a second up on his time, which could put him in a top 10 position. So he will be the first car to pass the line when the time goes out, I think. And everyone is out except Aero in the Red Bull. He has, I guess, not happy with 12th, but he settles for 12th. Lewis comes across the line for 42.9, a second up on his time, goes from 14th to 9th. And that is Lewis's position for the moment. Line's going quick. Josh is almost half a second quicker, and he could be in fantastic contention for pole position. Alpu puts in a 42.454. He takes provisional pole by just under a tenth of a second. Josh is looking really good. If he nails this chicane, you might have a good chance of a front row finish. He comes across the line 42.3 and takes provisional pole for now for 0.08 of a second. We knew it was a good lap to start with. Midnight is 2 temps up in his lap. Lion, he's 4 temps up. He goes across the line 42.4, just under half a second up. He goes 3rd fastest for now. We'll keep on board with Midnight because he's 2 temps up. That'll put him provisionally 1 place ahead in 6. Depends how this last turn goes. He might go higher than 6. Let's have a look. He's got a 42.8 to beat. He goes 42.5, goes 5th fastest. Juiced is 3 temps up provisionally. He might even jump into 4th, depending on how well he smashes the bus stop chicane. He locks up the front right tyre. It probably won't affect him too much. He cuts the curb as much as he possibly can. Gets on the power early. He goes 42.5, which keeps him... No? I mean, it did say 42.5, but it says 42.8. So thank you, F1. Unless I'm seeing things. But there is your final qualifying grid. There's your starting grid, ladies and gentlemen. So Josh takes provisional pole by 0.06 of a second. Alpu 0.08 of a second to 3rd. Line less than a tenth to 4th. And we'll get confirmation of both standings in a second. But yeah, really close. Really close. Sem put in a few what should we call it? Frenchy words in the Twitter chat. But look at the gap is really close from 1st to 14th. Sorry, 1st to 8th, we're talking less than a quarter of a second. 1st to 14th, we're talking less than 3/4 of a second. So the gap is really, really tight between all the drivers. There was one person that didn't put a lap time in, and that was Riker. And Hulkenberg only managed to do a weird time on the mediums. There was a double retirement with 2 cars, I'm guessing going off the curb in a bad way. Top 8 within a quarter of a second, Montana. Absolutely, that's what we like to see, though. We like to see close racing. We'll give the drivers a minute to settle themselves and myself for the formation lap. The commentator is on pineapple juice this evening, so I must grab some before we talk Belgium for the next 45 minutes. I think we got a formation lap. It'll be interesting to see. Of course, I mean, these drivers are quick. Most of them have got begins, and we will load up some tyre stuff for you, ladies and gentlemen. We don't really need. There you go. And we're expecting this to be a close race. Of course, in terms of points, it doesn't really mean anything, but that doesn't mean anything at all. People with some good races, good performances, they will be staying in this league. The drivers are fighting for what leagues they are driving in. Drivers who don't perform in this race may find themselves in Formula 2, which is not saying Formula 2 isn't a competitive league. It is, but other drivers would surely love to be in Formula 1. So the drivers are definitely, well, they should be feeling the pressure because it's more important than they probably think at first thoughts. Please come predictions in the YouTube chat. Of course, if the race gets a bit stale, which it shouldn't do, but if it does, Formula 2 and Formula 3 are being streamed on the YouTube platform as well. So don't forget to, if this gets a little bit quiet, like I say, don't forget to check out the other races in the YouTube channel, but I'm sure it won't go quiet. I'm sure we're in for a fantastic race. Damn, this grid has challenged a lot. Yeah, definitely. You mean change? Oh, sorry, change. My bad. Yeah, definitely. It's good to see as well. I don't like to come into a commentary session and already know who's going to win. You know, I don't want to look at a Formula 1 race and go, ooh, Hamilton again, even though I'm a massive fan. We want to see different racing drivers fighting for that top. If you just joined us, welcome to the end of the formation lap. The qualifying, by the way, the top 8 was separated by less than a quarter of a second. So this is going to be really, really tight. I'm just going to turn off the chat for a little bit, ladies and gentlemen, while I get myself a little bit prepared. After the madness of lap 1, I will come back to the chat and read up on any of your comments. Like I said, this isn't a technical points race, but the drivers are fighting for their divisions, and the next 45 minutes will be absolutely crucial to decide which tier these drivers race in. The lights are out and away we go. I can't really see who's got away well. So we're going to an onboard view. Josh gets an absolutely awesome start. He covers the inside to turn 1. The Montana second, Alpu third, Lion fourth, Zackart fifth. And we'll see what happens up to the hill. We hope there's not too much carnage, but every overtake hill it does means something really, really key towards the middle and the end of the race. We've seen it in real life. There's a couple of overtakes at the back. I'll try and check in. Vapor has retired from the session. There might have been a collision. There has been a massive collision off the hill. 3 cars have retired. Which is interesting. I can't really keep up with it because I'm on my own. Zakat is now into 5th. Fruitful has moved on to 6th. The Racing Point for Williams and the Mercedes having some scraps down to Brussels. Turn number 8 for 180-degree turn that catches people out. Just going back to the front very quickly. The Alfa Romeo of Josh has got a little bit of a tiny gap, half a second. Montana's got half a second too. So the Mercedes of Alpu. Lion, Montana's teammates in 4th. A good start by both of the NSX crew, I guess, drivers. The gaps are really, really close. It's good to see some close-ish racing. If we show the leader gap, the gap to the leader from 1st to, let's go, 10th is only 4 seconds. That is amazing to see. And how close this driving actually is. We're waiting for the DRS, of course, lap number 3, where we can see something, see some overtaking happen, especially on the Kemmel Straight. Lomans is 21 seconds behind. He hasn't got a wing. He's going to have to pit. And yeah, there was someone running wide at bus stop chicane. I think it was the Renault of Zakat. Fruitful Racing Point has got behind. He's going to look to take the inside into turn 1. The Williams tried to make it a 3 wide, but it won't fit. But 2 definitely will. The Williams gets his nose in to turn number 1. Out we go, and up the hill we go. Hopefully we keep it nice and clean so the drivers can keep racing on. And everything looks okay so far. The drivers, obviously, most of them have traction off. So that's an interesting one up that hill. And we seem to be okay. The Toro Rosso is going wheel to wheel down the Kemmel Straight. Lewis and Sem into turn number 5. And Lewis takes the initial lead into turn 5. And I think Sem letting him have that just to make sure there's no initial contact. The gaps are really, really close at the moment, which is good. There's a tiny bit of a gap between Lion and Zakat, which is maybe Zakat went just a tiny bit wide on one of the corners because Fruitful Kuruma Racing Points right up his gearbox. And after lap number 2, sorry, with lap number 2, the gap to the leader from only 13th position is 5.8 seconds. The Renault of, I think that was Zakat going a little bit wide again. Maybe he's just trying to settle into a rhythm a little bit. I'm just trying to keep up with everything that's happening in the grid. We got a very close battle between Juice, who overtakes the Mercedes of Thomas on the inside of turn 16, I think. The Mercedes right up the gearbox of Juice, chasing towards down turns 18 and 19. The Haas obviously gets the inside turn. I'm just trying to keep up with it. The Racing Point's going to try and do a double overtake. He loses the back end. That slows him down. And the Toro Rosso of Sem might have a go. He's overtaken his teammate. I don't think he's going to make a dive to the inside. And the Racing Point, luckily of Luke, keeps that position for now. Dylan and Hulkenberg in the Ferraris behind them. Hulkenberg's got a 2-second gap to his teammate. But other than that, we're okay. I'm trying to give everyone some screen time initially. Do we have DRS yet? Yes, I think we do. Montana have the DRS enabled there. So are we about to see, not this lap, maybe next lap, some overtakes on the straight? So that doesn't mean we're not going to see overtakes in the corners. The Toro Rossos are having a fantastic battle. That was into turn number 7, I believe, where Lewis overtakes his teammate. We'll have to keep an eye on that as much as we can. Fruitful Coot is looking close to Zakat. I would use dynamic view, but you don't really get an idea of how close these cars are to the cars in front. Right, is it time to check up with the YouTube chat? I think it is. There is nothing, that's no problem. We will keep commentating. There's no problem about that. There's a little gap from Lion to Zakat, like we said a little bit ago. That gap hasn't reduced or extended, so it's staying the same. Fruitful Coot is still lurking behind that Renault of Zakat and his teammate at the moment. Was that Raikkonen? Yeah, I think he's DNF. So there's only one Renault driver left. Montana's getting a little bit closer to Josh. If he can remain that close, I mean, they're all pretty close, but especially at the front, the top 4 was a little bit of gap to 5th. We've all got DRS. Lion puts the fastest lap. I'm sure that'll be improved later. Thomas absolutely smashes that lap anyway. And here we go. So we're going towards Eau Rouge, up Radion and through the Camel Straight. We'll take on board with 4th position and see if we get any overtakes on the straight. The McLaren is a little bit sceptical of doing that hill full power at the moment. Will Montana have a look at the Mercedes? He might do. Josh, it looks like the McLaren was going to try and have a dig at the inside there, but he doesn't. And into turn 5, all the drivers go. What's really good to see is that the gap from 13th to 1st is only 7 seconds, which is great racing so far from everyone. Everyone seems to have a pretty good pace. Lomans is obviously behind due to the incident that he had. It probably cost him 15 seconds to turn his car around and then another 25 or whatever to pit. But he's put on the hard tyres, and we'll see what happens with Lomans towards the end of the race. It might not have been his fault. It might have been his fault. We didn't really see, so I can't really say anything on that topic. All the cars, I'll probably say the average gap at the moment is about half a second. The closest one's looking like Midnight to Fruitful Coup. He might have a little go here on turns 17, now down to 18. Is he going to go for the inside line? Fruitful Coup moves to the outside. Was that a good idea? We don't know. The Williams tries to short shift for gears for Racing Point. It was a good idea in the end. It takes for Williams wide, but he might get a better exit. Even though the Racing Point seems to have got the traction down earlier. And the Mercedes looks for an inside turn. He tapped Fruitful Coup on the rear, which doesn't really help the Racing Point at all. In fact, it gives... it nearly lost for Racing Point a position, which was a bit unfair, but the Mercedes of Thomas will have DRS, so maybe Fruitful Coup has lost his position because of that tap. It was a little bit, yeah, Hulkenberg's got a 3-second pen for multiple warnings. Thomas goes on the left hand side of the Racing Point. The Haas of Juice goes on the left hand side of the Racing Point, and the Racing Point has had a triple overtake from 3 cars, maybe 4. I'm not too sure how close the output was, but because of that tap from the Mercedes, has Fruitful Coup just lost 4 positions because of that. We'll have to watch the footage at the end. If that's the case, that seems a little bit naughty from the Mercedes drivers. I'll note that down just to check it afterwards. But yeah, that was a bit unfair. The Toro Rosso of, the Racing Point of Luke going wide. That's allowing him to split up the Toro Rossos as Lewis overtakes. Lewis being on the medium compound. If he can stay there and put the softs on at the end, who knows where Lewis could finish. The smallest gap at the moment is Fruitful Coup. Now he's going to have some revenge in that cerebellum of his brain, because that bit of contact has lost him 4 places on turn 1, and it was a little bit unfair. He might have lost 1 or 2 places on the Camel Straight, which is understandable with DRS, but he definitely wouldn't have lost 4, that's for sure. So at the moment it seems a little bit unfair to me, but we will see what occurs. Lewis overtakes Luke again, so I'm guessing Luke actually had a go at Lewis on the start finish line, but the Toro Rosso got in front of him, but that's not going to last for long, as the Racing Point will have the DRS. Oh, so will Lewis actually. I don't know how. Is he within a second? Ooh, he was probably at the DRS detection zone. He's doing well on the medium tires. There's a little bit of contact from a Racing Point on the back left. Lewis doesn't really affect anything. Alpha of the Mercedes. Oh, there's loads of contact. What is going on here? Oh, I have no idea what just happened. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in commentary so far. And that was out of turn 5, 6 and 7. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in commentary. I hope none of them have damage. Lewis has overtaken the Mercedes. Lewis is moving up to 9th on the median compound. Lewis is having an absolute stormer on the median compounds. Luke goes into 10th. He overtakes the Mercedes. Why is the Mercedes falling back? Has he got damage? I'm just trying to find out. I can't really see because the dynamic view is way too quick. It seems okay. I'm not sure. There's a gap from 4th to 3rd of 0.2 of a second. We'll watch them across the start finish straight and see if the Renault of Zakat can try and get a DRS overtake attempt after going up the hill very, very soon. Montana puts in the fastest lap so far. The quicker lap times are coming in. They're burning the fuel, of course, for losing the weight. The McLaren of Lions struggling for traction there, really, really bad. The cars are almost wheel to wheel up to the hill. Going wheel to wheel never ends well up the hill. The Renault takes a more defensive approach, which is probably a good idea. He activates the DRS, he goes to the right side of the McLaren, and wheel to wheel they go down to turn number 5, but the DRS shines through with the speed, and the McLaren of Zakat goes into the provisional podium spot past Lion. I'm sure Lion won't let that go any easier. Juice has got a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help him as the gaps are so slow. That might even drop him out of the points if that gap was to stay the same. But of course we've got another 16 laps to go, so that won't be the case. A bit of a gap form from Zakat here. Maybe Lion was dropping the pace a little bit, just protecting some of the ERS for the We've had 4 DNF so far. We started with 18, we've ended with 14. A Ferrari's gone, an Alfa Romeo's gone, the only Red Bull has gone, one of the Renaults has gone. So a couple of drivers racing for their own accord here. Of course this doesn't affect the Constructors' Championship directly, but what it does affect is what league the drivers will be racing in. Zakat's very close to Josh. He overtook 4th half a lap ago. Well, 3/4 of a lap ago. Josh does a little... Oh no! Josh tried to do a little bit of a fake maybe into the pits. Maybe he didn't know whether he was going to pit or not. And now he has to change his wing. But there was a situation in another league yesterday where something like that happened and the wing wasn't changed in time. So we'll see if they change his wing. And there you go, they don't. So if he has damage, they haven't changed his wing. Does he have damage? I'm not too sure. Did he have a left end plate? Oh, he doesn't. And that's your problem with going in the pit lane. He's pitted and he hasn't fixed the wing because he literally crashed in the lane. He couldn't fix it quick enough. So Josh is now driving with no left end plate after being pretty much first, or in the top 3 anyway. Midnight's going to fly past him on the inside in the Williams. Oh, Josh actually keeps for position. He's done quite well there with a no left end plate. And the Williams will try and get him maybe into Brussels on the 180 degree turn. Will he make a dive? Probably not a great idea to do so. I think he sees Josh is struggling with traction, and he'll probably look in a minute to have a little go. That's the closest battle I think at the moment. While I was going to have a quick drink, but it seems that the overtake is going to get done earlier rather than later. Oh, Josh has a little bit of a brake check there past 12 and 13, and yeah, the Williams driver probably didn't expect it, but his reaction times were absolutely superb, to be fair. Montana now pits on lap number 8. There is 14 laps to go after he pits, and that'll be done on the medium compound. We see some other cars pit as well. Juice comes into the pits for a set of mediums. Thomas has got mediums on. Juice has got mediums. Fruitful Coot has come in for some mediums. Lots of position changes to happen. What we will do, ladies and gentlemen, is after everyone has done their strategic pit stop, we will have a look at the grid and we will compare them to their qualifying places. I'm getting a little bit sweaty, so we'll take the jacket off and prepare ourselves for another 14 laps of Spa-Francorchamps, or whatever we call it these days. Midnight goes for the overtake on Juice, and he gets it, and he moves into 7th position. Montana has come out in 4th place, but he is technically first. The 3 cars in front of him have not pitted yet, and I'm sure Juice, after that overtake by Midnight, will have a little bit of a inner push to try and get that overtake back if he can. If you've just joined us, welcome to the F1 tier race, pre-season race at Belgium. We started with 18, we lost a Ferrari, an Alfa, a Renault and a Red Bull. We're down to 14, and these drivers are fighting for their positions in their league. So of course the satisfactory performances of the drivers will let them remain in the top tier, which is the Formula 1 tier, for the season to come starting next week. And any drivers that maybe disappoint, and maybe the let's say for example 5 drivers disappoint, and 5 drivers absolutely smash F2, then we could be seeing some roster changes. And Belgium is a tough track to do a pre-season race on. The Haas gets the DRS past Midnight in the Williams, my apologies, and out of turn 5, 6 and 7 he now moves into 7th place over Midnight. Yeah, I mean, for a proper racing track you probably want the Britons or the Spains, but are of course tricky, but they're proper racing tracks. Britain's a really good one, not only because most leagues request a Britain time trial, it's because Silverstone is actually not a bad racing circuit at all, to be quite honest. Both of the Toro Rossos lead in the front at the moment. Of course these both have to pit, but they do not have to pit until about lap 17-18. Their gap to 3rd place, who was leading the pace before, is 6.5 seconds, meaning that if the two, excuse me for a voice break, if the 2 Toro Rossos can somehow increase that gap and use each other's slipstream to their advantage, they're going on soft snaps. Why can't they make their way up the grid? You can't put it past them. Dylan Warren in the Ferrari goes into the pits, puts on a pair of softs. Excuse me. Apologies for the yawn, I have been up since 6 AM this morning for 11-hour shift in work. But we can't be tired with this racing, can we? Right, Juice and Midnight are having this is a fantastic midfield battle. I mean, the average interval times are over 2 seconds now. But this is a really good battle here between the Haas and the Williams. The Williams is the leading of the 2 at the moment, but only by 3.5 tenths. So we'll keep an eye on this for a little bit. The Toro Rossos at the front will not be scrapping really. If they get close, they'll probably let each other past, if we're being quite frank. Lawman's gap has dropped from 50 seconds to 34. He had the crash at the start of going just after the hill, Raddy on the hill after turns 3, 4 and 5. He crashed, it killed a lot of time. He then had to finish the whole lap with no wing at all. Then he had to pit, he had to put hard on. So it's been a tricky race for Lawmans, and we've no idea if it was his fault or not. So we can't make accusations because we don't know. At the moment on the grid, the battle between the Williams of Midnight and the Haas of Juice is the closest battle that we have. So we'll keep on board with it in a bit. If Juice can somehow knock off 4 temps with a DRS, now it's down to 3.5 temps, so he might have a go here. He might actually fly past for Williams, and he absolutely does. Down the Kemmel Straight, he absolutely blitzes past that Williams, and Midnight, sorry, I keep getting them mixed up. Juice now takes 5th position. What happened there? Did something happen? Did Luke take something wide that I didn't see? There was a double overtake there. Oh no! Thomas has retired from the session. Oh dear. His AI driver has taken over. I'll be honest, I don't know what's happened, but the Mercedes driver, partners with Alpo is out, which is a disappointment for him. Of course, I'm not sure what happened, but that means Juice and Midnight go up 1 each respectively, and Juice is now 5th place and Midnight in 6th, respectively. Of course, all the cars will eventually overtake the Mercedes, so we're down from 18 drivers to 13 drivers. Spa has taken the toll of 5 racing drivers so far, and we still have 10 laps remaining, or 1 minute 40 each-ish, maybe more. Like I said, once everyone has done their stop, which it seems the Toro Rosso have done at the moment. The Toro Rosso of Lewis has pitted and come out 8th, which is really, really good, because he did his first stint on medium tyres. The Haas of Juice having a little go at Midnight there, nearly overtaking him into turn 5. Yeah, obviously Sam in the Toro Rosso will come into the pits now when he finishes his lap. He should be very, very close to his teammate. His teammate probably got a little undercut on the soft tyres, helping him out with a quicker lap time coming out of the pits, of course. But yeah, to come out in 8th, by the way, which is, you know, if you take away the 3.6 from Montana, 3.6, 15, 13.5, 13.5 seconds behind pole, let's call it pole, and he's got 9 laps of soft tyres to use. Is there a chance the Toro Rossos can fight some podiums? I don't know. We'll have to see what their race pace is like, and this pit lane is very, very tight. Jeez Louise, I haven't done Belgium for a long, long time as a racer or a commentator. And we'll see where Sem comes out. The expected position is 9th, just behind his teammate, of course. Oh, sorry, 8th. His teammate will go up into 7th, of course. The tyres go on, and he does exactly as planned, which is good for his teammate. Excuse me, I'm very tired. But Thomas of the Mercedes is still racing. Such a BS disconnection. So I think Thomas is unfortunately disconnected, which is really, really disappointing to see, and it's a real shame for the Mercedes driver. And sometimes in life and in Formula 1, there's sometimes nothing you can do, and it's very unfortunate. But that puts us down to 13 drivers. Sorry, 12 drivers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it puts us down to 12 drivers when the car eventually retires. Randomly throws me out of the game. WTF? Yeah, I fully understand your frustration. Because I think it was on your way up. I think it was on your way up. Right, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, everyone has done their pit stops. Yes, they have. So we will do them well with a 3-second penalty in 10th place. Won't hurt him too much. Let's have a look at the position changes. so far then, before we get some more overtakes and do the interval. Right, so Montana has gone from second in qualifying and he's leading the race as it stands. Zakat 5th to 2nd, Juice 9th to a potential 3rd as it stands. Midnight 6th to 4th, Luke 8th to 5th, Alpu 3rd down to 6th, Lewis 11th to 7th, Sem 13th to 8th, Fruitful Coop 10th to 9th. For Williams flies past for Haas down to turn 5. I had to keep an eye on it. I just heard that engine revving up behind. Midnight is now in the podium positions. Dylan 14th to 10th. Josh, because of that crash into the pit lane, who was leading the race, I think. That might be correct. It might be wrong, but he was definitely top 3. Has now dropped from 3rd to 11th because of what happened in the pit lane. He damaged his wing of the pit lane. He couldn't change the option quick enough, and he had to pit twice for. Yeah, that's rough. But you got to be careful in the pit lane. Thomas 7th down to 12th, unfortunately for him. Lawman 16th to 13th, of course, helped with the DNFs. There's the position changes for you, and yeah, as you can see, without that stop, 14.3, 15, 18.5, 20.1, 20.7, 23. He could have been maybe up to 5th or 4th, but oh well, that's how the cookie crumbles, eh? There's a little gap of half a second from the Toro Rosso of Lewis to Alpu. He's probably going to have a look down the Camel Straight in a moment, 10 to 15 seconds from now, maybe a little bit more, to have a little peek at DRS. Now this Camel Straight is a brilliant, it's a really long, the DRS starts just after the hill and goes all the way down to the bottom. It's a great DRS zone for overtaking. The Toro Rosso is going to activate that DRS now, and he's going to have a go at Alpu. Alpu is going to cover the inside line. The Toro Rosso goes to the outside, and the Mercedes cannot cover from the soft compounded Lewis's Toro Rosso, and Sem will be chasing down the Mercedes car as well. But Lewis is the strategy going medium to soft is really paying off for now. His gap to the leader, by the way, is only 10.5 seconds. Can he do it with 7 laps to go? If he can do a second quicker, why can't he? The fastest lap being set by Lewis so far by 24 milliseconds. He's getting that fast lap by. So that's interesting. Midnight is still chasing Juiced. Juiced is in the Haas, of course. Lewis has got a 3-second time penalty. Oh, he wouldn't have liked that. That wouldn't have helped his cause. And now instead of getting 10.5, he needs 13.5. That's not going to help him. He's already done fantastically well in this race, by the way. But I'm sure he'd like a good position to show off his overall efforts. I will be back in 30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologise. Right, I am back. The Limmeister didn't go too far. Right, what have I missed? I just had to take a little bit. My throat was getting a little bit sore. I tend when to do commentary to take it not too serious because that's my job, but I just get too upbeat and start shouting and start talking way too much, and then my throat starts to hurt a little bit. But it's all good. A cheeky lem sip and a soother, and we're good to go. You're all worth me bursting my vocal cords, so it's all good. We have 5 laps remaining. Dylan Warren in the Ferrari in 9th place, setting the latest fastest lap, which is a 45.413. Wait, what? Wait, are you guys seeing this? Are you ladies and gentlemen, look at the time of Dylan and look at the time of Lewis. They are exactly the same. Dylan's got a 45.413 and Lewis has got a 45.413. I've never seen that before. They can't both get a point. Not that it matters tonight for the points, but if that was to happen, is it the person who got it first gets it? Someone could let me know. But look at that. Lewis and Dylan Warren have exactly, to the millisecond, the same fastest lap time. That is incredible. Right, Midnight and Juice is still an ongoing battle. That has been less than a second for the past probably 8 laps. I'm not going to lie. Dylan Warren is half a second behind Fruitful Coot. He might have a go here towards the bus stops who came through 16, 17, 18, 19, past the start finish straight, La Source, Eau Rouge, Radion, and then he may have a proper go down the Kemmel straight in about 30 seconds time. We will stay on board with the Ferrari just in case he mounts an assault. He looks to have overdone that braking, but then he seemed to recover it, so maybe that's just commentator's curse. We shall see, but that was quite incredible to see that Lewis and Dylan have exactly the same fastest lap time. Look, what is that? Anyway, let's see if the Ferrari can mount a push down the Kemmel straight after the hill. The Ferrari takes the hill fully flat out. He whacks on the DRS at the back of his car. Fruitful Coot goes to the outside. The Ferrari blitzes past the racing point and he leads into 9th place into turn 5, into 4 laps to go. I tried to do too many intos, it didn't work. Juice is closing the gap to Midnight, only 4/10 of a second now. Luke is closing the gap to the Toro Rosso of Lewis, 4/10, but I think that's because Lewis has just got past him on a newish pair of soft compounded tyres. Mostly everyone in today's race went from soft to medium. Lewis thought no, we're going to do medium to soft, and give him a position that he began in, which was 13th or 11th, one of them, 11th. He's done very, very well, and we'll keep on board with this battle for a little bit. Because, oh, look at the brakes getting red. I was going to say red raw then, but that's probably not the correct terminology. Bright red, we will call it. And Juice is only 3/10 behind that Williams now, and he's going to put on a real push. Has he got the ERS to help? Oh, he has. And he's going to have a real good go at Kemmel Straight. And I think for Williams will be absolutely defenceless here, to be honest. Here we go then. The DRS point is now. Midnight is going to cover the outside line. The Haas takes the inside line, and the Haas will lead the Williams car into turn 5. Juice now goes into a podium position, and this is going to be just a pure DRS battle. Literally. Fruitful Coot has now got past the Ferrari again. The Ferrari overtook Fruitful Coot at the same point a lap ago, but the Racing Point stuck in there. Stayed within 4/10. I think that's the limit. for that DRS zone and gets past the Ferrari again. I'm sure Dylan will, if he can stay within 4/10 half a second, he'll have a go at overtaking the Racing Point again. Sam gets a 3-second time penalty in 8th position. I don't think that's going to hurt him too much though. Or is it? 2.1. Oh, maybe it will if we don't find 9/10 of a second. Lewis is still having a look at Luke. Lewis is on 7 laps of soft compounds. Luke is on 12 laps of medium compound. So I'm sure Lewis, if he don't get him in the bus stop chicane, will have a fantastic opportunity to do it on the Kemmel Straight. I don't think this DRS zone is long enough, and he actually struggled with traction out of the last corner of the lap. So yeah, Midnight has begun the lap 21, and he's going to have a go at Juice, I think, on the GRS. He's not using any ERS, he's now, but I don't think he used it early enough, so we'll see. I think Juice is going to keep that 3rd place until the thing. Maybe Midnight is just saving his ERS, trying to keep behind Juice as close as he can, so he can mount a last lap DRS overtake, which would be amazing. There's a yellow flag in sector number 2. Lewis and the Racing Point will be having a battle. Dylan gets past the Racing Point after turn 5. Those two keep swapping positions. I'm sure there'll be another swap on the last lap to come. Thomas was DNF'd ages ago. I think his AI just kept driving. Just have to try and keep up with the overtake, because it's going to be a pretty mental last lap. Montana has got a 1.3 second gap at the front. As long as nothing goes wrong for him, he has 2 more minutes of Spa racing to go, and he will win if nothing goes wrong. Midnight is just under 3/4 of a second away from Juice. Is he too far away to mount a push on the Kemmel Straight? That's the question, and the problem he's got, well, they're both in the same predicament. They don't have too much ERS left to burn, which might be a problem. There's a yellow flag for sector 3, I think, but I don't think it matters too much. It might have just been a blue flag. And Montana's away up the hill. Now, will Juice get there in time? Wait, oh yeah, never mind, I'm getting mixed up. So will the Williams overtake Juice on the last lap? Juice has got DRS as well, but Williams tries to take the inside into turn 5. This is going to be a very intense battle. For Williams takes way too much curb, clips the back right of Juice, and that sends the car a little bit oversteery and loses out into turn 6. And I think the only reason that happened was because he took too much of the inside turn 5 curb, and that might have just cost him a podium position. Lewis is half a second away from Luke. If he stays close, back towards the bus stop chicane a little bit later on, he might be able to get another position. And from a medium to soft strategy from 11th place, he's done brilliantly anyway, but he might be able to get another position from that point. 342 gets past for Ferrari again. That was a little bit ago. And Montana is 20 seconds away from winning this pre-season race and showing that he absolutely has the pace to compete in F1. And not only does he have the pace, Zakat has the pace too. They finish 1st and 2nd respectively. Juice has the pace as well to compete. He comes across, finishing the podium position. But no, he doesn't. He had a penalty. And Midnight, even though he took way too much of a turn 5 curve before, takes the 3rd position. Luke comes across the line 5th, Alpu 6th, Lewis 7th. A great race from Lewis, by the way, from 11th. But not just that, doing the medium to soft compound strategy, the opposite way round is good. Victoria Rosso finishes behind his teammate Jason in 8th. Fufuku finally gets his beating on the Ferrari. What a midfield battle that was. He finishes 9th. And the Ferrari finishes 10th. we started with 18, we finished with 13th. That is your final grid, and many drivers really showed that some of them have the pace to not only drive in the F1 League, but compete at the top of the F1 League, which is good to see. Those are your podium winners for this pre-season race. Now, normally as an commentator, I pretend to be an interviewer. I normally get, you know, the drivers in, do drive of day, etc. But I'm sure that's not necessary for a pre-season race. But well done to Mr. Montana. It was a excellent drive. It was a good race pace. Zakat was only just behind as well. To do 22 laps of Spa in 39 minutes is pretty good going. Those are the final standings there. Quite a lot of penalties going through. I think most of them were for exceeding track limits. Most of them were for, actually. So it wasn't the corner cutting, it was the exceeding track limits, which is the issue. Josh had a rough race. He hurt his car in the pit lane. They couldn't swap the wing. He had to do 2 pit stops. But you have to be careful in the pit lane or that wouldn't have happened. And that is the end of a pre-season race at Belgium. Thank you very much for tuning in. Of course, check the Discord and the Twitter for the final confirmed tier rankings. The season starts next week. And anyway, from myself, Captain Limmy, thank you very much for tuning in. Have a fantastic weekend, what's left of it. And we'll catch you when the season starts next week. Take care.